his station that way?
No, you can move that wherever you want it. If you want to use the podium, you can. If you don't want to, you don't have to. Oh yeah, if you want time cards, you want to do it? Alright, John's got him.
Is the writing on these, just write
Just their name, yeah, put their name and just things that they are doing fantastically awesome. But then if there's anything they can work to improve on, then by all means, go to town. But again, be supportive.
Alright.
Okay, we're ready?
Yep.
Right.
Okay. Quick show of hands. Who here has done something they regret? Pretty much everyone. And like everyone else, Alfred Nobel did something during his life that he ultimately ended up regretting. Today he's remembered for his work with the Nobel Prizes. However, during his life he was remembered for something much more sinister. Though I wasn't there while he was alive, there was enough information on the internet to tell us what people thought about him. First, I'm going to be speaking about his life before his invention. Secondly, I'm going to be speaking about his life during the creation of his invention. And thirdly, I'm going to be speaking about his life after the invention and also public opinion about him. First off, Alfred's early years. Alfred Bernard Nobel was born on October 21st in 1833 in Stockholm, Sweden. His father, Emanuel, was an inventor, engineer, and an architect, along with many other things. One of his successful inventions was an underwater exploding line, and he was also big into founding factories. He founded a war supplies factory. As for Alfred's mother, according to GeniusMothers.com, Carolyn grew up in a cultured and wealthy family. She was a gifted and educated woman. She believed that education was of utmost importance in life. Her motto, "Knowledge is power," was the cornerstone of her child learning system. Obviously, Nobel was expected to do great things in his life. His parents had 8 children total, but only 4 of them lived to survive to adulthood, including Alfred. As a child, Alfred was often ill, so he focused on his intellect, which helped create a close bond with his mother. He was also interested in explosives at a young age, and his father taught him the fundamentals of engineering. His family moved to St. Petersburg, Russia when he was about 9. His father became a manufacturer of explosive mines and machine tools, and since the family had a lot of money at the time, they took him to different private tutors, which helped he excelled because of his earlier focus on intellect. And by the age of 16, he was fluent in English, Russian, German, French, and also Swedish, and he was also a competent chemist. Secondly, Alfred alters the course of history, humanity. Skipping some years for time, he went on to study in Paris for a year, and he worked in the U.S. for 4 years. However, he returned to St. Petersburg to his father's factory. At the time, his father was producing military equipment for the Crimson War, but after the war they went bankrupt, so Alfred and his parents returned to Sweden in 1859, and his brother stayed to salvage the company. Back in Sweden, Alfred began experimenting with different explosives in his father's laboratory. During this time in history, Britannica.com says, "The only dependable explosive for use in mines was black powder, a form of gunpowder. A recently discovered liquid compound, nitroglycerin, was a much more powerful explosive, but it was so unstable that it could not be handled with any degree of safety." In 1862, Alfred built a small factory to begin working with nitroglycerin, and he also researched ways to control it and make it safer to handle. A year later, in 1863, he invented a practical detonator, which got him noticed as an inventor. And then 2 years later, in 1865, he perfected the detonator into what he called a blasting cap, which ultimately started the use of modern explosives. Then again, .info explains the blasting cap as a detonator which could be ignited by lighting a fuse. However, stepping back a year in 1864, Alfred's business and life was dealt a serious blow when a nitroglycerin factory of his blew up, killing his brother, Emil, along with several others. Instead of letting this deter him from his studies, Nobel continued building factories where he produced nitroglycerin and the Boston capsule together. In 1867, by chance, Nobel stumbled upon a mixture that was much safer to use and easier to handle. This is his invention that I was speaking about in the beginning. He named it dynamite. The Greek word is dynamis for power. He became famous worldwide, and his invention was used in blasting tunnels, cutting canals, building railways and roads, among many other things. However, Nobel didn't stop there. Throughout 1870s and 1880s, he built factories in Europe to manufacture dynamite, and he also formed corporations to produce and market his line of explosives. He continued his explosive research, including new dynamite in 1875 nicknamed blasting gelatin, and also ballastite in 1887. However, lastly, Alfred realizes the change he's had on the world. His building factories and explosives continued until about 1888, when his brother Ludwig died. At the time, a French newspaper got Ludwig confused with Alfred, so they thought that Alfred had died, and they started writing obituaries for him. One famous headline was Le Merchant de la Mort est mort, meaning the merchant of death is dead. And these words were said to be life-changing for Alfred because he saw what people thought about him. Though we can't be certain, Historian.com infers, along with many other historians, that despite owning almost 100 armament factories, Alfred was a believer in pacifism, and it was his reading of his erroneous obituary that caused him to realize his reputation was a dealer in death, and this spurred him to create the Nobel Prizes he is known for. Alfred died in 1896, 6 years after his brother, of a cerebral hemorrhage. He left 95% of his large fortune to the creation of the Nobel Prizes. In conclusion, despite being highly intelligent and feeling like he was researching and creating for the greater good, he later realized that maybe the end didn't justify the means. However, no matter what the public thought, and unbeknownst to him, Alfred has legitimately changed his own legacy. He's known as a man for the promotion of peace now, no longer the merchant of death.